Well, with Empire currently on hiatus, the real question is, can Fox fill the void, and can lightning strike twice with another great musical show?
Bring me, get mine, about mine, go hard, looking for another like me. What's up? I bring me, whose love is the tightest, whose kiss is the nicest. Me, I bring me.
Hey guys, time over the series premiere of the new Fox show Star. Now, I know that this has been out for a while now. I've had till December to watch it, but I figured that since episode 2 came out yesterday, it would finally be the time for me to review the show. And let me just tell you guys that I was really excited for the show, I have to say. Not just because of the fact that, it's a music show, and like I've said, I really feel that networks have been struggling with the right way to construct a music show. It seems like all these shows, they want to be two things. They want to be a music show, but they also want to be this crime drama. Those two things, for some reason, always coincide, and I'm not entirely sure why. You don't need all this gangster stuff in a music show. It feels kind of out of place. And I wouldn't say that the music shows we have been bad. Atlanta's really been the only successful one, though, and Empire's been kind of successful. Well, Roadies was pretty bad. I definitely will say that. Roadies really wasn't great. Vinyl wasn't too good either. But in terms of music shows, Empire's a show that's always up and down. Like, sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's not great. It's currently on a high, definitely. I think it's been a pretty good season so far. But it could venture into, really weird territory like it always does. So I really had no idea what the show was going to be. I was very excited for it because I thought the plot was very interesting. It was kind of something that hasn't really been touched before, and I like the way that they did that here. But I was very cautiously optimistic because the reviews were bad. The reviews were really bad for the show. Surprisingly, I really was surprised at how bad the reviews really were, but they were horrendous, really. I mean, the show was just getting tons and tons of backlash, and I have to say that after watching this episode, I don't fully get it. Was this episode good? No, I'm not going to say it was good. I mean, there's definitely some potential with this show. I see a lot of potential. This was not at all what the show should be. I'll definitely say that. I think this episode was quite messy. I think that this was way too fast of a premiere. But if the show slows down and finds a more finds a better tone for itself, then I think this could settle into a really great show. But let's just get into this episode because I do want to talk about it overall, and I don't want you guys to think I hate the show, because I actually did really enjoy this first episode. There are a lot of things I definitely really did enjoy about it. As a whole, it was very messy, though, and I'm going to get into that, so let's just talk about the first episode overall. So we start off by meeting our main character, Star Davis. She's on the phone with her friend, and they're talking all about singing, and Star's foster mother tells her to come inside and do the dishes, telling her mother that if Star wasn't worth the money they get for her, and Star refused to do the dishes, and when her foster mom asks her where she's going, she tells her that social services, she can beg them to process her out of there, and the mother says it's not going to happen, and how dare Star act like that after everything she's done for her. So you very well get the sense that she is a mother who doesn't really provide for her, doesn't really care about her, and Star has these dreams that clearly her mother does not support. So I thought they did a good job of setting this up, but then almost immediately we cut to our next character, Alexandra Crane, who approached her father, Roland Crane, for some money from her trust fund, and he wants to know why, and she tells him about this girl, Star, that she met on the internet, that she has a great voice, perfect for the songs that she's writing, and these two have struck up an internet friendship, and I like that the show is touching upon that because that's very common nowadays. In fact, most of my friends that I have are from the internet. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Most of my friends I don't know personally. I know them from the internet and text conversations and things like that, and the way the show is touching upon that, I think, is kind of cool. And she goes and tells him that she's a white girl who grew up in foster care in Pittsburgh, and everything she has been through is in her voice, and she wants her mother to get into a studio. So her father, Roland's not happy to hear any of this, needless to say. He tells her he's not going to give her the money to use for some white trash she met on the internet, only to get to him, and she tells him that she made an Instagram under a different name, and he says that then she is ashamed of her name, and he gets upset, saying that he guesses that she won't be singing background for him either. So clearly he wants her to be part of his group, and she tells him he doesn't get it, that she needs to break out on her own. She needs to make music that feeds her soul, and he acts like a spoiled brat instead of her father, saying that his music doesn't feed her soul, and she sounds back that it's her soul. And right off the bat, we can tell the dialogue is not that great in this show. I will definitely say that there's some very clunky dialogue in this first episode. I'm going to get into that, but She tells him that, basically, she challenged him, asking him when was the last time that he felt something when he sang his songs. She encouraged him to go back to his old stuff and away from the trash he has been trying, which I do like the storyline. I like the fact that he's clearly, settled into some really, just modern stuff, and she feels that he's best when he's doing, his old stuff. And he turns to her and asks who she thinks she's talking to, calling her a talentless brat, and that she sounds exactly like her mother. So they did do a good job of setting up these two characters overall, and the way they set this up was very similar to This Is Us. If you remember This Is Us, they presented all the characters like a montage, and then they showed them that way. The difference is with This Is Us, we got to know the characters through not just dialogue, but through actions, through what they were doing, through certain situations they were in. We got to learn their relationship, and that moved at a much slower pace. We didn't even know the full story till the end of the episode. This moves like rapid fire, and not only does the show not understand really how to introduce characters, it immediately just starts. And the way that this episode starts, at first I was okay with, but as it starts to go along, it just gets faster and faster, and that's really the main problem with this first episode overall. So Star's at social services, where a worker's telling us she has been through 6 foster families in the past 2 years, which is pretty crazy but you definitely get the sense that they don't fully understand her, and Star wants to know where her sister is. She wants to get her, but she's told she has a record and it will never happen, and her sister Simone isn't really having much better of luck because Simone offers to drive 2 younger girls to school, but the foster father cuts her off, saying that she thinks that she can run their house now, thinking she's white. He tells her she isn't any whiter than anyone else in the house, obviously because she's clearly, related to Star, and the social worker tells Star if she continues down this path, she's going to end up on the street just like her mother, and Star jumps out of her chair, points her finger to the worker's face, telling her to never talk to her about her mother, and, clearly she thinks a lot about her mother, definitely, and the worker points out and tells her she better not have to call security again. She starts to cry and says she's not going to end up like her, but she needs to see her. She hasn't seen her in 5 years. And again, there's a lot of show not tell here, a lot of spoken dialogue of things that I think would have been much better if they just showed, but back at Simone's foster home, the mother takes the girls, but the father says that he will drive Simone to school himself, and he tells Simone to clean up the kitchen, and Star keeps begging to see her sister, doing anything she can to have some sort of connection with her, because she knows she's in her life, and she knows that Simone doesn't really have the greatest life either, and the worker says she's going to lose her job. She tells Star she's processing her out of the system, and it's to never say her name, but Star then buys a ticket to Harrisburg, and they didn't really give a specific reason why the worker couldn't do this. She just kind of said, obviously, she has a record and things like that. She has a permanent record, and that's not going to happen. I get that. But at the same time, isn't a social service worker supposed to do the best thing for the child? I just didn't fully understand this, and she then buys a ticket to Harrisburg, who, when asked it is a one-way or round ticket, she leans forward and says one-way, and the next time she will, they will see this face is on the cover of Vanity Fair. So she feels that she is going to be a star, hence why her name is Star, which is clearly intentional. And on the bus, Star is reading a letter from Carlotta Brown, played by Queen Latifah, who wrote that their mother died years ago, but these singing angels should be living together under the same roof. And she arrives at the house that Simone is living in. She knocks at the door, she knows that it's open, she walks right in, and she climbs the stairs to see Simone's foster father raping her, which that was insane to watch, honestly. And again, this is all in the first episode, so we now know that Simone's foster father not just, abuses her, sexually abuses her. Star tells Simone to be quiet. She bolts down the stairs, grabs a knife, comes in the room, and then randomly just stabs him repeatedly in the back. And we've literally just met this character. And while this is definitely supposed to be very impactful, it really lacks it because we've only had one scene with Simone. If the show would have taken the time to further Simone's character and show, she has such a bad upbringing and her father is so sexually abusive, imagine how more impactful it would be if we didn't know, if Star didn't walk in, if we saw Simone, talking to her father and us seeing that this isn't just her being rebellious, that her family is terrible and she had this horrible upbringing. It just could have been presented in a much better way. And Simone screams that she killed him and that she wants her mother, and Star tells her that their mother's dead to get her stuff and his keys. And again, this is all really sad to watch, but it just comes across as kind of lazy because they didn't really take the time to further the story, and immediately they just get right into things, and that's really not the way to present a pilot, in my opinion at least. So as they're driving, Star wants to know how long he has been doing that to her, but when Simone doesn't answer it, the girls start to sing together. So you get the sense it's probably been going on for a while, and that was definitely a really good scene. I did like the scene of her saying that, she didn't really know, and Star says they're going to Atlanta, that this woman Carlotta is their godmother, and they will finally have a place to live, and Star then contacts Alexandra and tells her that she can't stay on the phone, but she's headed to Atlanta and asks if she's in, and the next minute you see Alexandra, she's walking out of her building, meeting with Star. Star says that Alexandra is shorter than she thought, and Alexandra tells Star she's heavier than she thought, and Simone writes the word bitch in the frosty window. So all three leave for Atlanta, crashing in a hotel along the way. They're eating, and Star tells Alexandra that she needs to let her down her weave. She tells her that it's real and that not all black girls wear weaves, and I thought that was kind of interesting the way that they presented that, because yeah, a lot of stars do wear weaves nowadays. And she asks about Simone being half black. Star says that her father was black, but she asks her when she hit her up on Instagram, would she ever end up like this? Alexandra says no, but she's glad she saved her, that the music they're making is their life, and there's no going back. She wants to do whatever she can to make this music, and, she's really the only one who seems to understand that. And Star asks about her parents. Alexandra lies to her, and this was definitely one of the more interesting elements here, is that Alexandra actually lies to her about her life. She doesn't tell her what she's really going through. She says that her dad's a surgeon, and that her mom's dead, when in reality, we know her dad's a singer, and her mom's off doing God knows what at this point. We don't know what her mom's doing. I'm assuming her mom up and left and is doing something else, but I thought that was interesting the way that Alexandra actually lied about her upbringing. I don't know if it's because she's ashamed of it and she doesn't want them to think that she doesn't have a chance at this, but that was definitely one of the more interesting plot points that they showed here. And Simone brings back the iPod to Simone. She says she can't even take it. Star laughs, and Alexandra listens to her a little bit, but stops asking her what is on her shirts. Is it blood? But Simone tells her it's sauce from the chicken wings. So again, she's lying to her, because she's obviously not. It's kind of hard to say, oh, I just killed my dad. They're not just going to admit that. So Star's upset she didn't get rid of the shirt, and when Star demands she take it off, she tells her she's keeping it on because the blood reminds her that he's dead and she's free. Again, really cheesy line, honestly. I think it was just a really dumb line overall. I get it. I get what they're trying to do here, but I just found it kind of dumb. But then we see probably the best character in the show, Carlotta. She's singing in a church, and I loved the song that she was singing in the show. I thought Queen Latifah absolutely killed it with this song one day. I remember I watched in the trailer, and I'm like, I can't wait to see this scene in the show, and it was really well done. Star's looking for Carlotta at a hair salon. The girl's at the desk tell her that Carlotta is her mother, and she's at a church, but one of the stylists comes to the front and realizes that she is one of Mary's girls, and tells her Carlotta's been looking for them for a long time, and before he turns away, he tells her she needs to get her roots done. She tells him that it was nice to meet him too, and Carlotta's daughter tells her she can't help being like that because she's ugly, and they both laugh. And I thought this was a well done scene overall. The way they introduced Carlotta is a little bit better than I think the way they introduced any of the other characters. This is probably the best way they introduced any of the characters in my opinion. So Carlotta continues to sing. The girls arrive at the church. Star hears her voice and recognizes her from the day their mother died, and Carlotta was there holding them. We basically realize that she was kind of like her first foster mother and took them in, and when Carlotta sees them, she goes to them and immediately hugs Simone and Star, and it's a nice scene. I like the way they showed this, but again, I don't know why you couldn't have just had a 5-minute scene with us seeing Carlotta and Star together in the beginning and then go to the present. I don't know why they didn't just take the time to do that. It feels strange that in the middle of the song we're getting flashbacks. It just felt very there's a better way of doing it. We could have just seen the look on Star's face of her being like, holy shit, this is the same person. And after church, they're sitting in the back, they're enjoying a barbecue, and Carlotta and Alexandra get into a bit of an argument when Alexandra says there's nothing wrong with being an atheist, which Carlotta feels there is. Religion's very important, and again, while this scene I thought was supposed to be somewhat deep, it kind of came across as kind of pretentious. The show just kind of bring this up to just have something thought-provoking to say, and it just felt like it was there just because we're trying to talk about, a sensitive topic, and we're going to try to talk about as many sensitive topics as possible. It doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel natural. Just like a random thing that Alexandra brought up, so that really didn't work for me either. But during the barbecue, Derek comes up, introduces himself to the girls, and he asks Carlotta if she could share one of his activist papers, and when Simone asks if Carlotta's going to be their mother now, she asks how their foster parents are treating them, and before Simone can answer, Star tells her they're okay, and Carlotta turns to Alexandra and asks what kind kind of foster home she comes from. She says it actually isn't a foster home, just that her parents think that traveling is a good learning experience. So again, she's not telling her about her father, and Star explains that they hear there's a great music scene in Atlanta, and Carlotta tells them that before they were born, she was in a group with their mother, and she says that they really want to sing. Why don't they come into church with her and sing? So Alexandra looks at her like she's crazy, saying in church. Carlotta calls her a witch and says yes in the church, and she wants to know why they're really there. Are they looking to stay with her? Carlotta says it's fine, they're going home, and if they are staying, they need to do their part. So she asks if any one of them know how to shampoo, because her shampoo girl got up and quit pregnant again, and Star points to Alexandra, says she knows how to shampoo, and when Carlotta walks away, Alexandra says she's not going to shampoo anyone's hair, and at her house, Carlotta tells the girls to clean up her wax room, they can share it, and I like the way that Carlotta is fair, but she does obviously have things for them to attend to, and Simone asks if she can sleep with Carlotta. She lets her sleep in the daybed in her room, but tells her no snoring, and Simone and Star are rehearsing when Alexandra comes in. Simone asks why they're rehearsing when they have no gigs, and Alexandra tells her that they rehearse so when they do have a gig, they're prepared. And from here on out, for the rest of the show, honestly, I felt like it could have just ended with Carlotta giving them this home. We didn't need to really see them start performing. Obviously, we know they're going to form a band. Why not just save this for the second episode? From here on out, the rest of this feels like a bunch of what could be potential plot points for other episodes, but for some reason, the show continues to go on for me, and I'm not entirely sure why. So Alexandra tells her that they rehearse when they do have a gig, they're prepared, they fool around before rehearsing, and at the salon, the mean stylist wants to know why there's a splash of color now, and Star is supposed to wash a client's hair, but she scalds herself in the hot water, and the client tells Carlotta she has a white girl messing up her hair, and Roberta, the client, takes off her apron, says she's out of there. Star gets upset when people keep talking about her, and she actually confronts them, and before it gets physical, Carlotta tells Star to go upstairs so they can talk, and Star begins to leave, but not before she calls stylist racist, and Carlotta says she's just like her mother, and Simone approaches her, asks about her mother. Carlotta tells her to come too, and Alexandra's upset that they're still there. She says to Star that they have been there for a week, shampooing goat hair, and again, they act like this is, 3 episodes in, not that this is the first episode. Again, I would have felt more impact here if they just let us see this, but again, they rushed through it, and I don't know why. Especially this, why do you have to rush through this? This could have been interesting that they did, but no, they completely rushed through it, and I have no idea why they decided to just completely just rush through all this. I get that obviously they want to present everything, but that's really not what you should do in a pilot. You should introduce the things that you need to introduce, not the things that you want to introduce. And Alexandra says they need to get in the studio and lay some tracks, and Carlotta's working them like dogs. Star tells her to go back to New York City, that she has nowhere to go, and Alexandra tells her there's a contest tonight where there will be managers looking for new talent. She tells Star she needs to get made up after work to look cute, and the club owner introduces them as Alexandra, Simone, and Star, or as their initials spell out, ass, so you can tell that obviously, he's not thinking much of them. So they get up on stage and perform for the scarcely filled bar. There were no managers there, but Carlotta's daughter's watching them in the background, and I do like the way that Carlotta's daughter is very supportive. I do like that, and she approaches them to tell them that the managers are at the strip club, that she's connected. Star goes to the strip joint, which is really, I think, just here to be edgy. Like, there's really no other reason to have this strip club, saying that she will do the stripping for all 3 of them. Simone goes home, Alexandra goes to the salon, and Carlotta wants to know where the girls are. She tells her that they went bowling, and Carlotta tells her she doesn't buy it. Alexandra asks what she wants from her. She says she only wants what's best for Simone and Star. Again, this is a completely unnecessary scene we did not need in this first episode, and Alexandra says what is best for them is the music they're making. She confronts her, asking her if she has ever listened to any of their music, and she missed that she read the letters that Carlotta wrote, and how she was unfit to take the girls in, and Carlotta tells Alexandra she knows she's trying to be something she isn't, and she says she knows she's running from something, and she's using Simone and Star to do it, and that's really all she's trying to do, which is true. That is what Alexandra's doing. And when Alexandra gets rude with her, Carlotta tells her to keep it up, and she goes outside, and Derek sees her. She talks so rude to him, and he calls out her on it, and she asks if he thinks he can really change the world, and he asks her if she has seen how crazy he is on the streets and how they're treated. She says that she wants to change the world with her music, and he tells her to come with him so that he can make her feel better. She tells him to come to her, and he says okay. And again, why are we getting these two so close, so fast? I want to kind of see some animosity between these two, or just something where they start off slow. Relationships don't start off full speed ahead. It's not realistic at all, and it just feels like this show just took everything that they felt would be great, and they just poured it all in this episode, and again, it just doesn't work. So then we introduced to another very potentially interesting character. It was kind of the Lucius of the show. Stars of the strip joint. Carlotta's daughter points out Jahil Rivera, played by Benjamin Bratt, and Star goes and grinds him a little bit, telling him that Michelle, his current stripper, has syphilis, and she brings him into the champagne room where she performs for him. He's very intrigued, but says she's trouble. He tells her he has a party coming up and he needs her for entertainment, and she tells him that she is a package deal. There are two other girls, and they are a girl group. And again, why couldn't this have been halfway through the season? The show should be their struggle for fame, not success. In order for us to root for a character, we need to see them struggle, and we have not seen that yet. Immediately, they're getting this gig, and that's not at all how fame works. The show does not understand that, and Star comes to find out that Carlotta's daughter is transgender, and the man who was attempting to have sex with her found out and was trying to beat her, and Star beats him instead. They take the money he owes, and it's just this ridiculous scene where Star points at her, admitting that she knew there was something she loved about her. And why does every character in the show have to have horrible people? It doesn't make any sense why everyone's raping everyone. It's dumb. Carlotta then confronts her about her daughter, about taking Star there. Carlotta calls her boy, and they argue about hating. She tells Carlotta they found a manager and he can get them into a party for Hunter Morgan, a famous NFL player, and Star admits that he said they can sing at the party, and if they're good, he will sign them. So Carlotta asks what the manager's name was, and when she tells her, she squints her eyes, looks angry, and Jahil then goes to see Hunter to ask if he can bring the girls in for entertainment. He reluctantly agrees, and Star and Alexandra are discussing how they're going to perform. Simone shows up dressed like a Catholic schoolgirl, and Star asks what she's doing and what she's wearing. She says her church outfit and that Carlotta gave it to her, and she's upset that she missed so much rehearsal time, and Simone tells her she's already warmed up from choir practice, and Carlotta says she can sing to save all of them. And again, just another plot point that would have made more sense if we saw some growth with it. But no, we just saw one scene of Carlotta and Alexandra. It doesn't add anything. And Simone has Star for them to be saved. Alexandra says that there's something wrong with Simone, and Carlotta's trying to be their new mother. And Star tells her she's a little over her new mother. Star tells her she's not going to sing in a choir, and the only person who's going to save them is that manager. Simone tells her she no longer needs to worry about her past, and the past is the past, and Carlotta then and then we get probably the best scene out of this entire episode. This scene I really did love, and I feel that this scene, while it wasn't necessarily need to be here, I thought was definitely very well done, because Carlotta shows up at Jahil's apartment. She said he's tangling in her life again and breaking their agreement. So we can tell that they have some sort of relationship, and we very quickly learn that she tells him that Star is Mary's kid, and Jahil is shocked, tells her that the second he heard Star sing, he felt the same way he did when he first heard Mary sing. So clearly he can see that Star is, as talented as Mary, and Carlotta says she isn't interested in his feelings, but she would like to know how he can afford 10,000 watches. She knows it's all smoke and mirrors. Now, I'm just going to go on a limb here. I think Jahil is Star's father. I just have this feeling. I know that she said her father's black. I get that Jahil's white, but I have a feeling that Jahil's her father. I just have this weird feeling that that's what's going on, but we'll have to see. Jahil tells her that Star could learn a lot from her, and if the other girls are half as talented as she is, they will have a super group on their hands. Carlotta says she can tell all that to the DA. She warned him she will call if he doesn't steal away, if he doesn't stay away from them. He says he bet everything on her and Mary, but they blew it, and Mary with the drugs and Carlotta with all that weight and never showing up for gigs. Carlotta cuts him off, saying that her father told her she needed three things: the Bible, the Word, and is gonna survive in life. She orders him again to stay away from the girls, and you can tell that there's just something about Jahil she doesn't like. They have some sort of a rough past, and that's something I'm definitely interested in exploring, is what exactly is going on between Jahil and Star. However, it's one of the only things they really leave open. Everything else they've kind of already told us, and like I said, the only reason the scene works as good as it does is, one, Queen Latifah and Benjamin Bratt are great in this show, but it also adds a lot of hidden stuff that the rest of the show really doesn't do. So Alexandra says the drag queen can sew her little butt off, and Simone tells Alexandra she's stupid, it's trans, not drag queen. They're all preparing for their performance, but Simone gets angry at Alexandra and blames Star for dragging her all over the place. Star asks her if she even wants to be there, and Star asks Alexandra about the boy. They all reassure each other that they will be okay, and Jahil introduces the girls to Hunter and his mother, and Hunter offers them something to drink. Jahil says, only one drink. Alexandra asks where Simone is. She's at the bar, telling the bartender it tastes like apple juice, and asks for some scotch. Alexandra and Star then find Simone drunk. They get her up. They go to the balcony and perform. The performance is great. Jahil says this is legit. He's been asleep for 10 years, and essentially he's probably going to sign them. Then we get to the the ending, which makes no sense whatsoever. Somehow, even though he was stabbed multiple times and it looked like he's dead, Simone's foster father somehow is alive. He wakes up. He's questioned by the police about who would want to harm him, and that is the way this mess of a show ends. Let's just get in this episode and what I think really went wrong here, because I don't think that this was terrible, but we're going to get into it. First, talk about the acting on the show, because I do want to get into the actors overall. I think there's some interesting stuff with them. And we're just going to get into it. Let's first talk about our main star here, who is Judy Demorest as Star. Now, I've never seen this actress before, but she was really good for what we got here. I thought overall she was very good in this show. I like her enthusiasm. I like her determination. I like the fact she wants to be independent and not let anything, not let anyone get in the way of accomplishing her dreams. It's a good character to have, but then the whole side of her being a criminal, I mean, I just don't feel we really need that. It just doesn't really go with the rest of her character. It feels like it's just there to give her character some edge and some spunk, and I don't feel like we need it. And the character she's playing in general, we'll get into it, but Star in general just isn't really that compelling of a character. I want to like her, but there just wasn't really much to her that I haven't seen before, and hopefully they do give her more to do, because I think she could be a really good actress, but they just didn't really give her enough to do in this first episode, unfortunately. And then Brittany O'Grady as Simone is definitely one of the more compelling characters. Again, she has this huge secret that she's hiding from everyone, that her father rapes her, and now she has this murder investigation with Star, but we don't know much about her besides that. We haven't really seen any bonding between these two, so I can't really say much about her. Ryan Destiny, I do think, is the most interesting, is Alexandra. I like Alexandra as a character. I think she's interesting overall. And the fact that she doesn't want to be like her father. She looks at her father, and it's not all someone she wants to emulate to be. It's kind of like a Lucius Lyon kind of scenario. It's different, though. I like that she does want to break away from her. I like the fact that she's not telling them about that. It's one of the few compelling things that the show isn't really just taking on full speed ahead like they did with everything else in this episode, and that's something I'm interested in seeing. And I think these three girls, for the most part, do work well together. I can't say too much about their chemistry because they definitely had it, but it just felt so fast that it really was not memorable with their chemistry, but they worked well together overall. I thought their scenes were definitely well done, and I'm sure that's definitely going to be a highlight of this show. However, in this first episode, I really did not feel much for them. I wanted to care, but the show just did not spend enough time on them, and therefore, they didn't really leave, none of them, honestly, left that much of an impression on me. The rest of the characters, however, I actually did really like in the show. Amaya Scott, in particular, as Cotton Brown, Carlotta's transgender daughter. I really like her character. I like the fact that she is transgender and that she wants to help them out and that she genuinely really likes them. I like her whole thing. I'm hoping there's nothing going on between her and Carlotta where Carlotta's not happy about her being transgender, because I just think it's going to be a dumb storyline overall, but we'll have to see. Quincy Brown, I think, is good as Derek. I'm not entirely sure why he's a main character, and I don't really know why he had to be in this first episode. I feel like they could have easily saved him for further down the line. It feels like it was just there to give Alexandra something to do, and I just feel like he doesn't really need to be here at this point. I don't really know why we have a love interest for her. Her storyline of her trying to move away from her family life is already interesting enough. Why do we need a love interest? It just feels like something you do in season 2 or the second half of the season, not the first episode. It just feels kind of weird. But the two best actors by far who stuck out the most to me, and this shouldn't at all be a shock to you guys, are Benjamin Bratt and Queen Latifah. These two have very interesting characters. Benjamin Bratt, especially Jahil, I'm very interested in getting into his character. What is going on between him and Carlotta, what kind of relationship they have. This is clearly someone who hasn't really found talent in a while, and this is someone who he feels will really get him back on track, and I'm really interested in seeing where his story is going to go. And what I like the most about him is that he's not Lucius. I mean, Lucius, sure, is very vindictive, and I do think he has that vindictive side to him, but he seems like he's a much more compelling character. There's a lot more that we can care about. Not that Lucius isn't good, it's just kind of repetitive. I feel like there's more to Jahil than we'll see, but again, I have this feeling he's Star's father. I know that she said that he was black, but I just have this feeling that Jahil is her father. It seems to make a lot of sense. Mary, he has some sort of relation with her. Carlotta has a relation with. It just feels like it makes sense that he is her father. But again, I'm not sure. Queen Latifah is great as Carlotta, obviously. I've never seen Queen Latifah really give a bad performance unless it's in like an animated movie. I thought she was great here. I thought her character was very interesting. I like that, like I said, she's definitely is very caring, but she's also very tough. And I like that about her. I like the spunk funk that she has, and I thought that she definitely, out of everyone, really did surprise me. I love what she did here. I think the cast overall can be really good. They just need time to give to let the cast work, use the cast in the best way possible, and this first episode, they really did not do that. So let's start off with the directing for this show, because I feel like there definitely are some potential interesting ideas in here, but the directing here was horribly frenetically paced. I mean, this show was so fast-paced, and I feel like there's a lot of things the show wants us to feel. Clearly, they want us to feel a lack of great empathy, great empathy for these characters, and they want us to feel bad for what they've gone through, but the show isn't willing to take the time, at least in this first episode, to explore that, and I don't really know why. It really felt weird that they just, randomly told us things. It didn't feel organic. It didn't feel like it belonged in the story. It felt like it was only here to give us, one, a reason to care about these characters, two, something to hook us in. This is clearly not a show that cares about character-driven stories. It cares about ratings, and those are the kind of shows that I can't stand, honestly. I think shows like that are just dumb. That's why I don't like a lot of network TV. That's why I review mostly cable shows for you guys, because I don't like a lot of network TV. Sure, I review Arrow and things like that, but other than that, most shows I review are cable shows, and that's because that's the only good stuff on TV nowadays. Stuff like Star, however, does have a lot of potential, and there's stuff I do see with this show. The writing in this show, not gonna lie, some of the lines in the show are pretty bad, definitely. There were some lines that were quite cringy and made me laugh a lot, and I shouldn't be laughing. I mean, there are some lines that, especially the stuff with Simone. What Simone's going through is very interesting, with her having this father that constantly rapes her, and that she never had anyone to break her out of, and now she has, and she's not telling anyone about it. That, I think, is interesting. The fact that no one knows, what's going on there, because obviously they now have to cover up this murder investigation. But how much more impactful would that have been if they would have taken maybe 10 minutes to just explore Simone's background, show what she's gone through, and then get into Simone's background. It just would have made it so much more worthwhile. And this is just simple stuff. I'm not quite sure why they didn't just take the time to do that. It makes a lot more sense to do that than to just immediately go to the story and have her father rape her and not really know what's going on, and have Star just randomly kill him. It just felt so weightless, and it didn't really feel like there was anything, there was no reason for that to happen, and that's something that I really was kind of annoyed about. Also, Star. We had one scene with Star and her mother. One fucking scene. Honestly, it seems so logical that you need to take some time to develop the characters and then, go on with the story. It's the easiest thing to do in a pilot. I honestly would not care if it was slow. I really wouldn't. I'd rather it be slow. The problem is the story is so all over the place, and it was like frantic. Like, it was moving full speed ahead in one of the fastest narratives I've seen in a very long time, and it's not at all a good thing. I really would love to see the show slow down a bit, and it doesn't really seem like they want to in this first episode. I don't know if they will in other episodes, but they definitely need to slow down a ton, because there's a lot of stuff to process, and I really didn't feel they gave it time to marinate, I have to say. Especially the revelation that Carlotta was with Star. They could have handled this a lot better, and they just didn't really do that. We knew that Carlotta was in Star's life from that narration, but they could have easily showed some flashbacks, just done it in a different way. They'd not do it the way that they did in this episode. It just didn't work in the way they wanted to. They tried, but it really did not work. And then the cinematography in the show is fine. I mean, it looks good. You definitely get the sense of the Atlanta scene. I thought they did a good job with that. It's very glossy. At times, it kind of feels like a movie, and I thought they did a good job with that, definitely. The score here is really, really over the top. Like, the music they use, this is definitely a soap opera, and you can definitely tell. But what I do like is the music. I think the music in the show is pretty good. It's not as memorable as Empire. I definitely will think Empire has had a much better selection of music. And honestly, the only song I remember is Queen Latifah's. If it hadn't been for the intro, I would not have remembered the song they sang at the end. I just didn't really find it that memorable. I found it to be generic trio music, and I just didn't find it to be anything that great. So, they build all this music up to be this amazing thing, and it really wasn't that great in my opinion. It just sounded like standard music that I've heard many times before that has been sung by much better singers. Now, I don't think these singers are good, but again, they just needed to take the time to see them struggle, and the show really was not willing to do that. I've already talked about how messy the editing really is, and how really unengaging the story really was. And it's not because it was an uninteresting story. Again, there are a lot of interesting elements there, but the show didn't flesh it out properly. The show just completely, full speed ahead. First two episodes, they had the characters break away from their conflict, and now they're trying to, I guess, tell a story. My big question is, where the hell are we going from here? Honestly, I have no idea where the show is going to go. And that's kind of a good thing, but the episode didn't necessarily leave me wanting more. It kind of just made me think, okay, where are we going from here? Like, this could have been a really, really good movie. I feel like we would have had a great movie about this, but as a show, I have no idea where we're going to go here. And it's not like Empire. Empire was a really great premiere where it introduces the family really well. It shows what was going on with Cookie. It showed us flashbacks. That show did it really, really well because it took the time to further those characters. This show did not do that. It went full speed ahead. It already is extremely messy, and I'm really hoping that this was just a pilot thing and it's not a show thing. I'm hoping the show is a lot more slow paced and it's just a lot easier to follow, because I really do want to like the show, I have to say. I think it has a lot of ingredients in there to be a great show, but right now it's very messy. I am definitely going to stick with it. I'm going to watch episode 2, but if episode 2 doesn't hook me in, I don't know if I'm going to continue to watch this show, because it's everything I don't want a show to be. It's messy. It has characters that are really just there, like not really fully developed characters. Seems like they're, and I get this first episode, but these characters already have way too much going on with them. You got a murder investigation, you got rape in here, you got all these touchy subjects that the show really does not need to dive into right this second, and it seems like it's only there because we're trying to be edgy and we're trying to be relevant, and it just didn't really work at all. And for me, I really do want to like this show, but I am going to give this first episode a star, a 3 out of 5 or a C+. There's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of stuff that could work really well in the show, but the show really needs to slow down like a ton. It really needs to focus more on its characters, and hopefully as the show goes on, it starts to it starts to realize what works and what doesn't work. A lot of shows do have problems finding their footing, and maybe this could be one of those shows, but I really have no idea where we're going from here. This show did not at all hook me in the way I wanted to, and in general, it's probably one of the bigger disappointments I've seen this year so far. Even though I've only seen a couple shows, this is definitely one of the more disappointing premieres I've seen in a long time. So overall, guys, my review star. Let me know what you guys thought of this first episode overall. Loved your thoughts on it. Are you interested in seeing where this show is going to go? Like I said, I'm definitely going to stick around, but I don't know if I'm going to stick around more in episode 2. We'll have to see. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for a movie review, which I'll tell you guys right now will be for Underworld Evolution, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.